You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include food, eating, romance, kissing, complex relationships, blood, shaving, death of loved ones, grief, memory loss, and references to sex and war. Arc 3, Episode 23. Who Shiver and Weep. From Praying Beside the Teeth That Killed Me, by Connie Chang. A week passes, and then another, and then another. Strike Team Nova, you blink your eyes and 6 weeks go by. 6 weeks filled with long walks and academics and cooking and friendships and exploration and romance and overwhelmingly, time. All of you have so much time on your hands to learn this city, to sit with yourselves, to dream, to remember, to think. Within all of this time, we find you, Seir. As the weeks pass, you and Yinghe do a lot of things together. You try pizza for the first time in both of your lives, even though you can't really taste it and it scalds your mouths with how hot the cheese is. You go dancing at nightclubs and bars and even a silent disco one time where you elbow some guy in the face by accident and have to spend the entire rest of the night apologizing while Yinghe is losing their mind with laughter. You spend entire evenings riding in taxis, going all over the city, your faces plastered to the glass as you watch Inferno flit by. The two of you learn what you like and don't like, what your tastes and preferences are. Yinghe discovers that they really like rock music, and pho, and karaoke, and playing on the pairpad, and they don't like hotel lobby art, and they don't like cover bands, and they really, really don't like Ultimate Frisbee. What about you, Seir? What do you learn about yourself?
Seir learns through all of this exploration, very normal exploration of one's youth, that he's realized that they don't typically do when they're home at Trans. At Trans, life is divided between training, reports, mission debriefs, and reflections in the quiet of his room, sketching the people they love most. And in this moment right here, they discover that they also like rock music. I mean, Seir's always liked music that is louder and that he can feel the blood pumping within his head. So that works. What does he not like? I mean, he likes spending time with Yinghe. That's been very, very nice. And it feels good to be in love and romantic and spend time. He has feelings about hotel art, but it's not whether a like or something. It's just, I guess he's still figuring it out. No one's really asked him that before. So I don't think he's asked himself that either.
Seir, eventually, as promised, given your good behavior earlier that week in sharing your omen with the team, Yinghe takes you on a special date. Apparently, they did a lot of research for this date, courtesy of the Oracle's internet work. She
Of
takes you to a
course.
place called Bave and Dusters. It is a kind of restaurant/arcade filled with loud, colorful machines, and you lose a lot of money at Bave and Dusters, but it's okay because you're having a great time. We find the two of you now standing in front of a large glass box. One of your hands is on a joystick as a timer counts down. This apparently is called a claw machine, and Yinghe really wants one of the items inside, which is a large, stuffed, perfectly fluffy sheep. How many attempts have you already made?
I'm gonna roll about it. 6.
Yeah, you've lost a lot of yuan to this claw
I lost
machine.
so much yuan. The first few times, Seir was extremely casual about it. Even at points like looking lovingly over at Yinghe, but while trying to play the game. And as the losses keep racking, Seir's brows furrow even more. His grip tightens onto the joystick. The pressure in which he is pressing the buttons turns more to him smacking the button to get the timing right. And by the fourth loss, Seir has pulled his hair back and has tied it in a bun and to keep it out of his face as he like leans down. He is now, before he was standing upright, shoulders back to get this little fluffy sheep. Now Seir stares and peers through the glass, hunched down like a predator, and is staring at this adorable looking round sheep in the glass, and it's just like, I will get you yet. I will get you. And he's like teetering the little joystick over to just above where it sits in this wretched machine. And he's like, carefully, patience.
Yes.
Patience.
Oh, that's a really good position for it to be in.
All right, and now he slams his fist onto the button.
The claw comes down. It opens up. Roll me a d6.
Just think
If it matches the number I'm thinking in my head, which is a 3. What did you get?
I need you to go on this fucking journey with me. It rolled through all of the thing and then landed on a 3 as soon as you said 3.
Okay.
Adorable.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Love
the
wins,
claw
Dorian
opens up.
returns.
Love wins, Dorian returns.
Love wins. The claw clenches around this perfectly fluffy round sheep and lifts it up into the air, which is good because several times it didn't even go up into the air. It starts to travel across the other stuffed animals, which are looking up at it. And Yinka goes, "Oh, maybe." And then it like lands over the drop box, opens up the claw, and it drops in.
Oh my god. Oh, fate. Oh, yes. Yes! And he says that so loud, like everyone in
Like several people
Dusters,
turn to look at you.
Yeah, turn
Yeah.
to look. He's like, sorry. And then he like quickly opens the metal flap underneath to pull out our prize. How big? I need to know how big this.
It's large.
sheep
It's not.
is.
You're
Okay.
forming like a small orb with your hands. It's quite large. It's maybe the
Okay.
size of your chest.
Okay.
And you have a large,
I was just gonna.
like,
If it
barrel
was
chest.
tiny, Seir would have been a unreasonable amount of angry.
But no, it's one of those big claws, right? Yeah. So you have this huge, fluffy sheep in your hands.
Your sheep.
Thank you. And Yinka takes it, and they lose their entire upper half behind this thing, like an eclipsed moon. And they say like a little muffled, "That's perfect. I love it." I was really starting to think, and they like move their head out from behind the sheep's big fluffy heft, that you were doomed to lose that game.
Seir like sighs and closes his eyes and just says, "You know what? I would agree. That has been the typical way of going about things. But My training has paid off, and in his mind, Seir forms the image of Artemis, who nods in approvingly at his capturing of a new quarry. I do not think Artemis would actually do that in real life, but Seir feels this immense amount of pride bloom in his chest, thinking about how he has successfully grabbed this sheep, and he like finally like looses his hair from the bun and like tosses it back. My luck is not so good with these sort of things. We have games like these. I mean, not the same sort of stuff, more like Oracle simulations or Oracle based games. And my luck isn't so good in those either.
I see. I have played some of the games on the Oracle. Like the matching games and the ones where the tiles fall from the ceiling.
Yeah. That is one of Sing's favorites, actually.
Oh. Well, I can see why. It's a lot of fun. I get into a nice, like, flow state when the tiles just start coming down. You know what I mean? And at this point, Yinghe is very happily hugging the sheep to their chest. And the two of you, I think, maybe are ambulating around the arcade area, looking at the various games all around you. And they say, well, thanks for the sheep.
Of course.
You know, this wouldn't have been possible if you hadn't opened up, so I'm still very proud of you for doing so.
It's still one of the hardest things I've done, so that should be proof enough of how much I love you.
Well, I love you too. You know, and through thick and thin, through good things and the doomed things.
And when Yinghe says doomed a second time, Seir kind of like, it's not necessarily that his face falls, but his brows furrow a little bit. He just goes, doom. Yeah. And think his mind as they're ambulating between all the arcades, I think his eyes fall on a sort of like probably a kid's game, like a kid's style game of like a forest-based game, and there's like promotional art on the sides of the arcade machine of deer walking through like a deep forest. And Seir thinks
it's
about the
wackadough.
antlered one.
Like little like dough heads would come out.
with little dough heads. That's so funny. And I think there might be like a specialized like deer head that pops up. It's the one with like stag antlers that pops out, and he sees this like massive red hammer smack it down back into the machine. And Seir looks at that and just goes, doom. After we went to the archway, I think I'm not as angry at Doom. I still am a little bit, but I guess I now understand that Doom is a lot of things.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. I mean, I never even knew that a concept like Doom existed. You know, back on Zhiguang, it was just whenever bad things would happen, we would blame it on Doom or destiny or some greater force, and then we'd kind of just move on.
And Seir kind of like sits in that thought for a moment. We see his like bright blue eyes flicking back and forth at the many different dough heads that jump out before he turns his attention back to Yinghe. I mean, it only took to the city of heaven for me to know that Doom existed. I just thought that I told you that Sing and I were made by fate, right?
Yes. You came out of the Prime Oracle.
Yeah. And Sing is fate's chosen, and I was also there. But after the City of Heaven, this Doom, this antlered person, called me his son. And, well, that complicates a lot of things, especially with... All my life, I thought that Sing and I were made of the same stuff, you know, and it seems to kind of still be the case, just maybe to the left a bit more. I don't know. It still bothers me a little, I guess. I thought I had one creator, and now feels weird to be the son of bad endings, tragedy, and disaster.
Well, that's not all you are. I mean, I know you and the rest of Nova kind of talk about fate like she's a person, I guess, but fate is like fate, right? It kind of just is. That's how I've always thought about the concept of fate.
And Seir ponders on that for a moment, at the concept of fate. And I mean, of course he's thought of that, but it's so complicated. I mean, when you meet God personified before you in a form like your own, how can you not, right? And Seir kind of like chuckles a little bit. It's a deep, like, wry chuckle. No, I mean, you're right. It's probably... I mean, I grew up in trance. We see fate in everything. And when we see fate before you like that, it's... Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, it's okay.
Complicated.
It does seem very complicated. I've never met Fate, I guess, like in her embodied form, but I have also met her. I mean, if she's everything, then all of us have.
Yeah.
We're all her children in a way. But, you know, regardless of this whole fate thing, or what she wants, or if she can want, if she's fate, I mean, how does that even work? That doesn't matter. What do you want?
Huh?
What do you want, Seir?
What, like right now, or with us, or like grand scheme of things?
I was thinking more grand scheme.
I know that I want to be with Nova and you. I want to protect you all. I want to help. Other than that, I don't know.
You know, when Sing Sing told me that my destiny had already run its course, it was kind of scary, but it was also freeing, because I could do whatever I wanted to do, and there was no path laid out for me anymore. Maybe that's something I want for you too, in a way. For you to just do whatever you want, even if you're not sure if it's the right thing to do, or if no one laid out a path for you. Because I know that Strike Team Nova came to help me as part of, your syndicate's mission stuff. But it wasn't fate that showed up. It was the four of you. You were the ones who did it. I know that you had a mission and you were supposed to do it, but you didn't have to do it in a nice way. You didn't have to actually care about me, but you did. And that matters to me.
You know we would have saved you even if you weren't explicitly listed in the mission, right?
I know, and that's what matters.
Seir ponders on that, and on the surface level, he thinks about possibility, this almost like the opening of a wide, free, open forest. But when he thinks about it a little too long, about freedom, about no guardrails, no intended path, he doesn't see a beautiful grove or the solace and tranquility of the forest. He sees an abyss, a deep, looming chasm of nothing and everything. And it frightens him, so he doesn't linger on it for too long. The thinking about fate, thinking about doom, makes him wonder about a particular thing Yinghe mentioned about fate before this conversation. Nila, when Lumièra told us about what happened, you said you hated fate? Or you think you hated her?
I know it's been a few weeks since then, but in the moment I was just so mad at the idea that someone could have hurt her. But you know, I've had time to think about it, and it's kind of like hating the concept of fire. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I get it. Fate has never really acknowledged me in any real way, I suppose. I mean, she forgot I was right in front of her at one point during a strike team debrief we had with her. In fact, she yelped. I must have startled her so much. What I mean to say is, when I heard what happened to Lumièra, I'm upset, and I'm thinking of speaking to Fate when we return to trance.
Oh.
Myself.
I think that's a great idea. Seir.
You do?
I do.
Really?
I do, actually, yes. I mean, ever since I learned that she was a person, I guess I've kind of been curious about meeting her. I think you should really do that. What did you want to talk to her about, do you know?
About Lumièra and about us, about Nova and Sing and everything. I want to clear the air. She must understand that this is Lumièra's magic. Her calling. It's everything. You can't just take something like that. Maybe she needs convincing, and I know that's usually Sing's bag. Everyone listens to Sing. But maybe I can get through to her.
Seir, I will support you in anything you decide to do and anything you feel is necessary to help your friends and the people that you love and care about. But if you do talk to her and she disagrees or whatever, I just want you to know that what she cares about, what she wants, that I don't care about that. What I care about is you and Strike Team Nova. So, I know it's a little difficult when she seems to be the architect of everything or something, but I'll support you if that's something you feel like you need to do.
Thank you. I mean, there's the whole practical element of it. I'm sure Artemis could figure something out, but thank you. It matters that you do.
Of course.
I've never done that before. I don't think I've spoken more than 10 words to Fate. So this will be a challenge, and we have time to plan.
I do.
And
I can help you look over your talking points.
that
I'm
would be
also
great.
not very good at talking to people or convincing them to do things.
I
want
think you're a
them to
little
do.
better than I am, though, Nila.
You think so?
I feel folks here. Okay, it's not folks' fault. It's very much I come across very
Rude sometimes?
Yes.
Intense?
A little
Destructive?
intense.
Angry?
Mean?
Mean?
Yes, all.
But I like
all
that
of the
about
above.
you. You're so straightforward. Well, Fate isn't here right now, and I don't want to keep talking about it. I want to talk about us and do fun things and dance, liberation! And he runs over to a dance game.
I feel like this is the second rhythm-based or dance-based game that we're about to jump into, and Seir already preemptively starts unclipping his boots because his ankles will be sore otherwise, and he rushes up behind Yinghe, presses a kiss onto the side of their head, and he feels ready. Frightened, but ready.
Yinghe gives you a big smile, kisses you back, and then gets very serious and says, I'm sorry, Seir, but I'm going to put us both on impossible difficulty level. I can't hold back any longer.
Okay.
All right. Try to keep up. And they get very intense about it, and they hit the go button. Music starts to blare. And time
Seir
passes.
interest is both his ankles. I need everyone to know this.
Time passes. Another day, another week. Seir, we see you in Bo and Mav's apartment playing a board game that Mav enthusiastically adjudicates while Bo looks tormented. We see Lumièra at the bookstore, shelving volumes and helping customers between large gulps of coffee under the watchful eye of other employees, wondering if you actually drink the coffee. We see Xainan giving Yinghe pointers on how to move, how to hunt, how to track, offering the newest member of Strike Team Nova his guidance and his mentorship. And we see Rhododendron standing in Yada's warehouse, pointing out your favorite mock-ups from a grid of promising album art thumbnails. We push in on one of these thumbnails, a sketch of blooming yarrows. And as we pull in on the details, the sketch fades into a completely different one on a digital tablet held by Diablo, as they show Xainan Esch their vision for his tattoo. Xainan, you sit in Dark Matter, the tastefully decorated tattoo parlor owned by Diablo. You're his only client for the evening, so the atmosphere is intimate and thoughtful as he hands you his tablet. What is the design that we see on it?
There is a single familiar arrow split in two. One half is shooting upward and the other is pointing down. It is one of his arrows from the City of Heaven, with knife-edged arrowheads and black fletchings with a bright white moon on them. But there's a difference already. One of those moons is waning. The arrow shooting upwards shoots towards a red sun. And at the center is a small four-pointed star, and then around the outside of this sun are very small rays that look a little like a clock gear. The arrow pointing downward points into the main part of the tattoo, as if the arrow was not enough. The central part of it is a large blackbird with its wings extended upward. There are 3 daggers silhouetted in the black feathers. In its beak, it holds a cherry blossom. At the bottom of the downward pointed arrow, it is sunk deep into the meat of this blackbird, and it is bleeding. But it is not dead. It is flying upwards towards the sun. And winding through the whole image is a red thread that winds around the bird's foot and then up, catching the air around a beautiful moth.
Diablo shows you this design as you had collaborated with him on it, and he says, studying your face, "What do you think?"
Damn. This is beautiful.
Any final adjustments you want to make? Otherwise, I think this one's the winner.
You're sure that thread's gonna follow that scar?
Yeah, it'll look good.
Alright. Then yeah.
Okay. Alright, why don't you hop up over there? And he kind of jerks his head toward one of the tattoo benches up. And I'll go sanitize my hands and get ready.
And I will as well. And before Diablo even leaves the room, Xainan starts to pull off all of his layers, the little bit that's left, his harness, which takes a lot of unbuckling, and it is loud because it is still full of all of that hunter equipment. But he begins to get himself settled.
As Diablo heads into like a little sink disinfecting area, he kind of like calls over his shoulder, "I'm gonna need you to take your shirt off, Xainan."
Yeah, I know. And with that, Xainan pulls his shirt off, and we all see just the lattice work of what in Inferno looks like burn scars across his entire torso, including one on his back that seems to follow the same shape as the red thread.
Diablo comes back with his hands washed, gloves on, and a little razor and some shaving cream to kind of like clean the area before he puts the stencil on. And as he like sits on a little stool, he kind of wheels it over. You see all of his tattooing instruments are out, a very clean and ordered workspace. And as he places his one hand against your back, you feel how cool and firm it is as he starts to kind of shave away at it, working the blade very carefully over the scars. And as he does, he says, casually but also with curiosity, and a sense that you could refuse to answer if you wanted to, "How'd you get those scars?"
Haven't we all died?
That's fair. You know, Esch, you've been in this city for a few weeks now. You are climbing your way out of newbie status and into a full-fledged member of Inferno. What do you think?
City's beautiful. The people aren't so bad. Individually.
Individually? You have thoughts on groups of people here?
The house is so complicated.
Complicated is a bit of an understatement. We are all in a large, tangled tapestry together.
Are you? In the tapestry?
Me?
Yeah.
Are you referring to the fact that I claim no house?
I've always been curious.
Here's what I will say. Inferno is my home now, but it wasn't always. I didn't get turned here. I got turned somewhere else. And it was hard. At the time, I didn't have anyone. I was lost. I struggled. I left my old life behind and I came here. I met people. Met the city itself. I made friends. friends of different houses, and I didn't want to have to choose between loyalty and friendship. You see, some people take pity on folk like me, those who claim no house. They think we are lost outsiders. That couldn't be further from the truth. I don't just want a part of Inferno, I want all of it.
So it's for the people.
That's what a city is. It's the people. Without it, it's just buildings, stones, pretty pieces of art with no soul inside of them.
You do tend to make pretty pieces of art. Xainan settles, sort of concentrating on the feeling of this tattoo parlor, this place that is so tied to his first experiences in this city. And for the first time in a minute, he thinks about it since meeting Tavash and everything that happened after. It really feels relaxed. When he's walking around the city, he is hunting, he is on mission, he is doing what Artemis asked him to do. But here, for the first time, maybe in the entire time they've been in Inferno, Xainan really feels off duty. And he settles into his place in this parlor and lets this idea of being a part of something kind of wash over him. What about your old home? What about those people?
I had people I thought were my friends. Turns out I was wrong. But that's okay. Sometimes when you suffer, you just suffer. Other times when you suffer, you learn. Thankfully, I learned. Got out.
Glad you did.
There's a lot of suffering in this city, Xainan. It's the way things always were. It's how they'll always be, I gander.
Suffering can be shouldered if you know how to wear your scars. Know who to have help you carry the load, but sometimes suffering needlessly. That's where I sort of get stuck.
Needlessly. You know, Sing Sing and I disagree about some things. For example, what the best spirits are. The correct way to pour a cup of tea. A little minutiae, but we do see eye to eye about something, which is that there will always be things that are outside of our control. And that we can either rage against it, suffer even more, or accept it and realize that there's meaning in it. You see, the bad things that happened to me in my past brought me here. In a way, suffering served a purpose.
But what
At
if
least I
that's not
choose to
enough?
look at it that way.
What if sitting and holding it is not enough, and action comes from that?
Then I think it's up to you to choose what you want to do. There are greater things in motion all around us. And trying to struggle against them can be very much like swimming upstream against the raging Red River. But what was made by people can be ended by people. These conflicts between the houses. Oh, in an ideal world, we would all decide to lay down our arms and break bread instead. Really, there's nothing stopping us except pride, resentment, trauma, grief, rage, all the bad blood.
Even though we're dead, all of that humanity.
You know, I've never felt more human than I have now when I'm dead.
That we can agree on.
Well, hey, the stencil's on. Tell me what you think of the placement. And Diablo shows you a photo that he took on his phone.
Xainan looks at his own back, maybe for the first time in a very long time, and definitely the first time here in Inferno. And he looks at a choice. His skin is completely unmarked except for scars. The only things that are not the skin he was born with are skin that he earned. But he never chose it. And he sees this tattoo crawling up his back. And he sees all of the faces of all of the people tucked into it. And all of the love that he could carry outside of the Syndicate. On his back. On flying wings. And he smiles the biggest smile. This is one hell of a tattoo.
Wait to compliment me until the whole piece is done. You might end up hating it.
I don't know, I've seen your work. Seems unlikely.
Alright then, let's put ink to skin.
Please.
And Diablo dips the point of a needle into a well of ink, and then makes that first press, that first incision, that first pierce against your skin. Time passes. Another day, another week. We see Seir at the gym, thrashing ropes and pumping iron. We see Yanhuan at a rock show, melting perfectly into the crowd, entranced by the shaggy-haired singer. We see Xainan sitting on the banks of the Red River, contemplating its crimson ebb and flow. We see Lumièra eating dinner at the professor's house with the rest of her inner circle, enjoying glasses of sanguine liquid against an elegantly decorated dining room. We push in on you, Lumièra, shortly after that dinner. We find you on the path to the Inferno catacombs. Your footsteps lead you here not infrequently, here as well as the archway and the dance hall. These are all the places you were told to go by that person who's been texting you, except the texts have stopped. Your phone hasn't buzzed with a mysterious anonymous message in weeks. And yet you find yourself haunting these places, drawn to them. The burned down dance hall, the ancient archway, and now the catacombs. The corridors are dark and sepulchral, just as you remember. In the absence of the bloodbath, it is quiet. Some might find the quiet unnerving, but you know what it really is. Serene. And just a touch sad. We see you rounding the tunnel into that central chamber where the fateful bloodbath took place. The stage is gone, the lights are gone, the bar is gone, but the memories remain. And tonight, so does a person. Rhododendron, what brought you back here tonight?
Memory brought Ro back to the catacombs tonight. Ro is in the process of becoming, has become someone new. A different Ro. The one that they were supposed to be all along. But that past, the person that they thought that they could be, even for just a moment, keeps keeps whispering to them, keeps vibrating along the edges of their web. They're still there somewhere. And so Ro has been pacing, crawling outwards to the edges of that web, following that whisper. Just for the last time, to say goodbye. Everyone deserves to say goodbye, right?
Are you here to say goodbye, or are you here to linger? Because your hand still hesitates.
I can't. No, I can't hesitate. I won't hesitate.
I suppose only time will tell. Speaking of which, Lumièra, you see Rhododendron.
Fancy seeing you here.
When you walk into that central chamber with only the remnants, the negative space left by the previous bloodbath left here in this space, you find Ro, with your perfect photographic memory, you find Ro in that exact spot that Ray had tore into Jamie's throat. They are standing there, looking down at the ground as if Jamie's blood is still left on the concrete, as if Jamie themselves is still beneath them in their hands. And they don't look up at you when you address them. They continue to stare down at this place where Jamie is, where Jamie was, where they still are. And they say, their voice ringing out in the empty catacombs. I wasn't expecting to have company today.
I don't mean to impose. And
No.
Lumièra will walk in further, right past you, where you stand, where you took Friend's life. And instead, Lumièra stands in the exact spot that she saved Yada's and looks at you.
Quick pause. I think you said Ren when you meant Jamie.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, could you just do a quick retake just for the podcast?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. She walks right past where you took Jamie's life. And she stands in the exact spot where she saved Yada's. And looks right back at you.
Ro's yellow eyes had followed you as you walked across the catacomb chamber. And you can see in Rare eyes and Rare face that they know the exact spot that you are standing to. That they remember too. You're not imposing. But I don't suppose you have work down here, so tell me, Lumièra, what brings you here?
And she chuckles. Her left hand, the one that is rotted in black, reaches up and scratches the side of her eye for a second, tossing some stray curls that are hanging in her face back over her shoulder, before she sticks her hands back into her pocket. You hear jingling of a little pocket watch that sits right at her hip. You haven't noticed her play with it that much here, but it's still clipped to her. Well, I wasn't exactly... I wasn't expecting you either. Sometimes walking around old haunts brings back stuff maybe that I forgot. You did tell me I had to make my own decisions, right?
Right. Ro took note of all of the little details, the rotted hand of Lumièra, the pocket watch jingling slightly. What is it that you're trying to remember? What is it that you've forgotten?
Lumièra dry chuckles at that again. And she looks up at you. We don't have enough time to list everything I want to remember that I've forgotten.
We're dead, Lumièra. We have all the time in the world.
Some of us more than others.
And Ro's face squints at that. A curious look. Like Ray doesn't quite understand what it is that you're saying. I mean, sure, some infinities are smaller than others, but they are still infinities nonetheless. And you can see that question come across their expression.
Lumièra sees it, hold on to it, but she doesn't explain further. She just kind of looks at you. I think she realized as soon as she said it, she might have said too much. So she buttons. I actually, it's really interesting that you are here too. We had a conversation with Tavash. Put a lot into perspective.
Oh? So you took my advice then? And Ro walks from that spot where they killed Jamie, takes that exact same route that they walked during the bloodbath back to their starting position in the duel, never leaving their eyes off of you. So you learned about my only love sprung from my only hate. What do you make of it?
And Lumièra stands her ground. She does shift her weight on her back foot, hands still in her pockets. You can tell she's ruminating an answer. I think that makes you so much more interesting.
Well, I'm glad that the biggest mistake of my life is interesting to you.
No. Interesting, in a sense, not what specifically happened, but the outcome. And Lumièra kind of shuffles herself a bit. Me and you are not so different, Rhododendron. Actually, I think we have a lot more in common than what meets the eye. That's what I meant by interesting. That's what I got from Tavash.
There is a empathetic look that comes across Ro's face when you say that, like you're not so different. And there is a feeling that they choke down something that they were about to say that they don't, and they replace instead with the question that they ask next. What is it that you know about the outcome? of what happened between me and Tavash.
I know that it caused you great pain and suffering. But I also know that you've rose through the ranks to be exactly where you stand now. That's what I wanted to talk to you about, actually.
Ro walks from that position where they started the duel next to Lumièra, where they were standing during the bloodbath to begin with, next to Yada, next to her sister, vulnerable. And they look at you, and they smile, this pained smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. How I rose through the ranks was through that suffering, Lumièra. I don't think Tavash would have shared it with you, but when Tavash and I were supposed to meet, under that archway by the banks of the Red River that night, and they didn't, and I was left there alone, my family found me. I'm not exactly sure how they knew, but they did. It was hubris to think that the Thakrar couldn't know that there was ever a secret that you could keep from them. But they knew, and they found me there. And, well, I was not turned yet at that time. But I was turned that night. Though I did not want to be. Though I wanted, foolishly, something else. And in that process and in that pain, I lost. I killed my brother. I was never supposed to be the heir of House Thakrar Lumièra. My brother Astor, my elder, perfect Astor, was supposed to. I'm only here. I've risen through the ranks where I stand, like you said, because he's not.
Lumièra takes that. She bites her bottom lip again, shaking her head, not with pity, but empathy. And once again, so much similarity. And she looks right back at you. When I was young, I lost everything. The group that you see me with now, that's my Thakrar. So I get it. Genuinely. And I want to do right by them and our mission. So, with that in mind, I only have one very serious question. Serious as you can make it, and you don't have to tell me the details. It's not my business. This is purely for my own educated advice and decision itself. After everything, all the sacrifice, the hurt, what did where you stand now What did that cost you? And was it worth it?
If you really are in the same position as me, if we really are as similar as you say, then I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry. If you want educated advice, I can tell you this. Love is a transgression. I stepped out of line. I refused to learn and to listen. And it cost me everything. It was not worth it. To think that I could have something that doesn't exist. It cost me everything. And if you still have a chance to save yourself, your house, Nova, the others, I think you should.
I think I should too. But love isn't a transgression. Love is the thing that pushes you forward. Every fight, every step, every trial has to mean something. And that something, at its core, is always love.
Well, let me ask you this. What does it cost you to love? And is it worth it?
Lumièra smiles wistfully. Her big eyes shine, glazed over with tears for a second as she thinks about it. And she looks right back at you and answers in the exact same tone. Everything.
Rhododendron, your phone buzzes. It's an appointment reminder. You need to meet with Diablo soon.
Well,
Let me not keep you. I'm sorry again about stepping in. I appreciate this. It gave me a lot to think about.
uncharacteristically, Ro takes a step forward towards you and reaches out, offering to hold your hand.
Lumièra will tentatively take it.
And Ro looks at you, really looks at you, and I think with the most sincerity that you have ever heard in their voice before, says, I really do hope it's worth it.
So do I.
Before they turn to leave.
Lumièra, you are left alone in the center of this empty catacomb. And when Rhododendron's final footsteps fade out into the distance, we hold on you. What is revealed on your face?
Doubt.
Lumièra, you're back in your apartment. It's later that night. It's much later that night. The sun is about to rise. It's time for bed. And you are doing as you usually do, your wind down ritual. Yinghe is on the bed. This time, their hair is not as messy as it has been in the past, but they are flipping through a variety of books that they've gathered and are just sifting through on the mattress. Where do we find you in the midst of your turning down process?
I think Lumièra, there's probably like a little vanity over in the corner, and I think that's where Lumièra currently is, like braiding her hair for the night, rubbing lotion on her elbows and knees, just in the middle of winding down. I think she does have one of her textbooks open in front on the other side too, that like she occasionally flips the page at when she's finished catching up on the assignment that's not due for another 2 weeks. But
of course, because you're always ahead of schedule. You're an excellent student, always have been, always will be. And Yinghe gathers all of the sprawled out books into a neat pile, and they go, well, that's the last of the series. I finished it. And they look quite satisfied with themselves as they like hop off the bed and start like putting it back into a kind of I'm done reading this stack next to your nightstand.
What'd you think of the ending?
I liked it actually. They ended up getting with only a few of the people that they've been getting with the entire series, but I think it was for the best. You know, sometimes relationships just don't work out or something.
Tell me about it. And Lumièra kind of like goes back to braiding her hair. And then she like throws over her shoulder. I'm talking about Amaru, by the way.
Yes, I figured. I'd like to meet him one day.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
No,
Then-
please.
Then I would not like to meet him one day.
Please. He acted an entire ass at the party. Him and Seir have like this weird sparring, but like not sparring thing. I don't know.
Well, who wins?
Obviously Seir.
Oh, obviously. Oh! And you hear Yinghe make like a noise of interest as they take something from the bottom of one of your other stacks. They like look at it and they say, oh, I haven't really seen you read this one much. And they place it on the top of the stack next to your nightstand. You always look more like yourself when you're reading something new. And as they hustle off to their side of the room, you are able to glimpse at the book they picked up, and it was the chronology book.
And Lumièra kind of like flusteredly like gets up. Good chunk of her hair is still not finished braiding at this point in time, but she gets up and goes over to the side of the bed where the book is and like kind of like snatches it off of the, but I finished this one already, not good at all, and goes to like put it at like under the textbook, her vanity that she's currently reading off over to the side.
Oh, okay, whatever you say. I've just noticed how happy you look when you're reading.
That's really sweet, Yinghe.
Thanks.
I enjoy watching you play on the pear pad.
Thank you. I think I'm getting pretty good at Fruit Shinobi.
Good for you.
I'm in the global top 3, whatever that means.
Yeah. And Lumièra goes and sits down right back to finishing up braiding her hair. But that book... It keeps popping into her periphery as she's trying to ignore it. And I think she waits until it's like a little more silent over on Yinghe's side of the bed. And when he falls asleep, Lumièra closes her textbook and props the chronology book up on the vanity, like right up against the mirror, and has like a stare down with it. And she's actively trying to tell herself, no, do not do it. You were told what you were supposed to do. But then that conversation with Xainan and Artemis and Ro. And who is she? The one Artemis was talking about. The one I remind her of. And she can't anymore. She grabs the book and immediately cracks it open.
And you see the title page. The research log of Abina Zushir, Volume 1. And we're going to end the session there. Thank you all so much for tuning in so far. I have been your game master and creative producer, Cai Chang. You can find me across the internet at ByConnieChang, ByConniechang. I'm going to pass along introductions to our incredible guest for the arc, Hamnah Shahid.
Hello everyone, my name is Hamnah, I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer and producer. You can find me all over the social medias at Lilith TTRPG. Today I have been Rhododendron Thakrar, who uses they array pronouns, who has the wise advice for all of you: don't love anything, because that's bad. Everyone hated that. Everyone hated that. The only thing I will plug is please go follow Tender Vicious or Tender Vicious Studios on all of the social medias because that's my little media production studio, and we are going to be releasing an AP at the end of the month that the lovely Kai GM'd, and C was our dramaturg. So if you want to see more transplanar cast members working on some cool shit, you should definitely go and check that out. We've got some fun surprises for you. And yeah, with that, I will pass things over to Val.
Sorry, my brain is still processing all of that. Hi, everyone. I am Valiant. Love wins in a crane game, Dorian, and I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otto Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt I just set you on. And tonight, I had the distinct pleasure of playing Seir. Please do not ask me too many questions about my likes, dislikes, of who I am as a human being. Last name, who uses he, they pronouns. So I'm going to pass it on over to Kai.
Hi everyone, I'm Kai. You can find me everywhere as Estella Vimladris. It has been such a treat playing someone who actually knows how to make a choice in their life, Mr. Xainan Esch.
All the choices, especially ones pertaining to bottoming. Well done.
Wow, Val, you took it right out of my mouth. We are
There
here.
is an energy in the call tonight. It's getting real aggressive.
That you are helping to perpetuate.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking. I'm innocent.
No. All right, Sam.
Beg to differ. Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Sam. I'm Sam Star. You can catch me all across the interwebs at Lust for Life X. Yeah. I played Lumièra, the healer.
You know, every time you say that, it just gets funnier and funnier because you're really standing your ground there, aren't you?
Can we have a compilation of Sam saying I'm Lumièra the healer, but every time it gets faster?
Play notes, you know what to do.
Intersperse it with liminals. Healer. Healer.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this really full of drops and emotions episode of the Chaos Protocol. If you enjoyed what you saw here tonight, consider leaving us a positive review, joining the Discord server, or posting about us on social media. Not only does it help our creator brains when we are on the verge of burnout, which is constantly, it also helps us continue to reach out to sponsors to make this work. possible. We will be back with another episode of Chaos next week, I do believe. See, I think that's correct on the production schedule. The week after. A special. Oh, yes, there's a very special episode of Chaos next week. March 15th. And then we're gonna, then my birthday is coming up real soon because it's coming up at the end of March, but that's not relevant right now. So stick around for the raid if you're on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, hop over to the Twitch so we can join more people in the raid. We're gonna be raiding someone really awesome right now, no doubt. And we will see you back here next week, same time, same place. Very special Chaos episode. We love you so much. See you soon. Saturdays, 8 p.m. US Eastern Time. Bijou. Howdy, Transplanters! You know what time it is. It's sponsor Connie time with a word from Hero Forge. Hero Forge has officially leveled up with kit bashing. When you become a pro member, you can place up to 20 more items anywhere on one of your Blorbos with their own independent scaling, rotation, and movement. You can make your character look exactly as they should, even if the specific clothing or accessory option isn't available at the base level. You just have to get a little creative. And because I love you, Transplanters, here's a special sneak peek at a kit-bashed version of Oblivion. Just look at those wings and that base. This would not be possible without the power of kit bashing. The combinations are literally endless, and you can print your kit bashed Blorbos as plastic minis, standees, digital STL files, or even Hero Forge's brand new color statuettes. Color statuettes are twice the size of a regular mini, and just look at this. I mean, look at how massive this is, and especially in comparison to a regular mini, you can really get into all the nooks and crannies and details that wouldn't be as apparent on a regular sized mini. Just look at how Oblivion dwarfs Oka here. And also, if you're a GM, consider busting out one of these bad boys during a boss fight to really get your players shaking in their boots. Oblivion agrees. Unlock the true power of Hero Forge with a Hero Forge Pro subscription starting at $3.99 a month. Get in there and start creating at bit.ly/transforge. Now, let's get back to the show. Or more likely, just more of the waiting room. Trust in her will.